Whenever I go out, the people always shout, "There goes JohnGerman in the Panzer 38t." Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies. I am so happy to be here. I have been working my fanny off on top of a roof, doing a roofing gig for a friend of mine, getting paid reasonably well, but I've been getting a little bit chonky just sitting in front of the computer and making these YouTube videos for you guys, playing War Thunder, watching videos, not doing a whole lot of that aerobic exercise that keeps your boy here from being a roly-poly. So it was nice. It was hard work. I got into the groove of things. I really pushed myself and, sweating up on top of the roof, moving things around, tearing off old roofing and doing some manly man skills. And now that job is done, and it was just a gig, it was just for a friend and also for some good money. Definitely not beginning a career as a roofer, I'll tell you that right now. But we have a replay sent in by JohnGerman, and he gets around into the first enemy with a nice quick reload on the Jpz 38t, taking him down. And we're gonna call this little guy the Hetzer. Even though it wasn't called the Hetzer historically, it now has a history in war games all its own that goes far beyond its limited use in real life. I mean, how can you not love this tiny little thing? It's so derpy, it's so stealthy and adorable. It's just the most compact little 75mm Toten tank destroyer that you can completely dominate the enemy with its recent reduction in battle rating to, I believe, 4.3. A reasonable BR. Not a ton of vehicles to back it up in the German tree at that BR, but with your Panzer IV F2 as a mobile, hard-hitting medium tank, as well as a few other options. And in an up tier, your allies will be commonly, I suppose, using the KV-1B 756R. You also have some really solid 4.0 vehicles to back you up, especially in the premium line when it comes to the Finnish KV-1B, which remains one of the most reliable heavy tanks in the game, having fantastic armor and also the ability to avoid facing German teams who have such powerful guns. So I suppose there is quite a bit to back up the old Hetzer, if you'll let me call it that. And you know what? I don't care. That's what I'm calling it. Come stop me. Come at me, bro. I'm ripped. I've got all this extra body mass from building muscle, pulling nails and kicking things around on top of a roof. Oh man. If only I had the strength of my youth and I haven't wasted it playing video games. As JohnGerman takes a shot at the KV, his second round to hit the tank, but there we see the first one that deals real damage. That shot at the engine deck was a good idea, but the armor is just far too thick on that angle for his round to go through. The KV, not responding well to his situation, tried to back and ended up being broadside on for JohnGerman's Johnny Boys. High penetrating 75mm armor piercing high explosive round to just Shrek everything inside of that Russian heavy tank. Now, JohnGerman, having secured the monument, which by the way is a fantastic place to start your match. In this map is now moving on, which is not a bad idea. Hetzer's gonna Hetz after all, and while this may not again have been called historically the Hetzer, it is certainly hetzing, that is chasing down the enemy in this match, a pursuer nipping at the heels of larger tanks. Now, one thing about the Jpz.38t is, like the Panzer 38 that it's modeled after. Interestingly, almost all of the parts of this vehicle are actually unique from the Panzer 38t Czech tank design that it's based on. It is still along the same technology, just sort of resized and reshaped to make a very interesting little tank destroyer. A stealthy, somewhat nimble when compared with other German designs, tank destroying vehicle meant to ambush and destroy, exactly as JohnGerman is doing here, although there's less of the lying in wait and more of the hetzing in this case. Popping around the corner, popping one into the T-34. Looks like no sauce though, as Mother Russia goes around the corner. And honestly, at that point, the T-34 should have pressed the attack. The Jpz.38t has extremely weak side armor, which is something I meant to get to, but I think it's around 15 millimeters, not gonna do the trick. Even with the sloping you see on a lot of that side armor, it's not good enough, and he's starting to get penned by that T-34, and he's aiming. If you look very closely, you can see the T-34 is aiming toward the very sides of the frontal lower armor of the Jpz.38t. Can we get a zoom in on that shot? See where the round hit? Right there by the sprocket. And that actually is 15 millimeters of armor at a fairly hefty slope. But a 75, 76 millimeter cannon like you find on the T-34 can overmatch that 15 millimeter armor and punch straight through into the transmission, into the crew fighting compartment. And that's exactly what happened. That is the most reliable, although small and difficult to aim for, as you see the bushes on JohnGerman's respawned Hetzer also help to hide that spot. But if you know where to aim for, just inside the track on either side of the hull, you have that frontal weak spot to go for, where you can overmatch that 15 millimeters of armor. And compared with the, I think it's around, what is it? Around 60 millimeters of sloped armor on the front of the Hetzer. It's been a while since I played this TD, but I've always have fun when I played it. Even when it was at a 4.7, it's still a very reliable vehicle when you use it as it was intended, as an ambush vehicle, as a response vehicle to shoot at the sides and vulnerable parts of enemy tanks before they have a chance to take a shot at you. So JohnGerman coming back strong here as Johnny Boy goes for the defensive plays at this point. And you can see that he has adapted his strategies a bit. I mean, if people are driving straight into your spawn, it's less about adapting strategy and just about pointing and clicking at them, isn't it? But still, things are changing on the field of battle, and JohnGerman is doing his darndest to respond to those changes. The Jpz.38t, not the most adaptable of vehicles, again, not the highest top speed that you see in a tank destroyer, not the most reliable armor except for the two very strong plates on the front. We talked about the frontal weak spot. There's also the area around the gun, but the gun mantlet is quite strong, so getting around through the flatter parts of the gun armor is probably not going to work for you. It's also a very tight breech compartment, so you're just likely to hit the cannon breech and not deal critical damage to the crew with the way that post-penetration effect works for most rounds in War Thunder at this time. Another thing to be aware of is that your frontal armor, while sloped, is not quite as thick as you might like it to be in certain circumstances. So if someone's firing down on you, or if they're firing a large high explosive round, you're gonna die. Like that scene from that Spider-Man PlayStation game where you fail the quick time events and the lady's like, I'm gonna die. That's pretty much the way a Hetzer feels anytime he gets flanked, or if someone's firing down on them. Even from the air, the Hetzer has, I think, around 10 millimeters of roof armor, which the American 50 cal can easily punch through. And here you see that that Dushka truck driving around JohnGerman, getting some shots on him, but trying to play the old Saracen horse archer game as John goes for the T-34. You actually saw some rounds go through, just a quick burst from that AA truck, and yet he's backing away. The man could have finished off JohnGerman right there and then just by spraying aggressively into his crew compartment with his armor-piercing rounds. Even the stock rounds can punch through the side armor of the Hetzer, as you saw, but his opponent just wasn't playing aggressively enough. Now, sandwiched between, well, I guess, sand and that which is the focus of our video. Sorry, that was pretty cheesy. I apologize. I didn't have any cheese on my sandwich when I took a lunch. My friend bought lunch for me after I worked on his roof. And again, he's paying me well, so that the fact that he bought me lunch is just like, shows you what a cool guy he is. I had a delicious, a succulent Subway sandwich, just in case you were wondering. I'm a fan of Subway. People talk bad about it, but we don't have a better sandwich shop in our area, so I love Subway. Anyway, more of JohnGerman, as he has just been baby doom turtling his way across the beach here on Normandy, and I've gotta say, I am falling in love with the Hetzer again. I'd love to see, I think there was actually like a 105 howitzer equipped version of the Hetzer. I would absolutely love to see that in the game. I think that would be a barrel full of laughs. And the one we have is just such a good tank. It has some glaring weaknesses. It doesn't have the best hull traverse, as you can see here on the soft beaches of Normandy especially. It doesn't have the best mobility, and that means in close range engagements, if the enemy decides to flank you, there's little you can do to prevent that. The tracks aren't the most durable. A lot of people are going to be able to take down one of your tracks, which means, again, you're going to lose even more mobility. But also, you don't have the best gun handling or firing angles. It's a casemate tank destroyer, and you can tell from the awkward positioning of the cannon. You can aim a bit to the right, but to the left of the gunner, there's a wall. Or sorry, to the right of the gunner, there's a wall that keeps you from aiming to the gunner's left. And there we see as the T-34 gets a side shot into the Hetzer. Any sort of angle, and the Hetzer's armor is just rendered irrelevant with that weak side armor. But even with all of its weaknesses, it has a very capable 75mm cannon. As we take an extended look at the battlefield, this is just about it for JohnGerman, but he is going to pick up a couple of more ground kills, if I'm not mistaken, so we'll see how those pan out for him. Will he have success in, what is this, is this a BF-109G2? I'm not quite sure. I have absolutely enjoyed the 109F4, and I must admit I haven't spent quite so much time in the other models of the BF109. That is probably a mistake I should rectify, but, well, there's time for that another day, I suppose. Flying fairly low, John takes some hits from ground fire, which are immediately going to hamper the performance of his plane. And we spent a good amount of time breaking down the ins and outs of another person's flying in a previous video. Let's just watch and see what happens here. A very, very cinematic, if I do say so, ammo rack on the Dishka truck, taking it down, and JohnGerman now looking to set up a strafing run, perhaps? Oh, maybe not. Now, keep in mind that this is realistic battle, so he does not have the advantage of actually seeing the markers that we see here. I decided to turn them on just so you could have a better idea of what's going on. And with that, I guess we just have some time to hang out while we enjoy the skies of War Thunder. If you guys have been enjoying the videos, and I hope you have, then I encourage you. You guys know what kinds of things you can do if you want to with YouTube. I'm not going to focus on that. What I'd like you to do is to join the Discord. There is a link in the description of this video. Just like today, I host replays, and that's one of my favorite things to do because I got started. When I got started, I should say, I was inspired, I was encouraged to make my own YouTube videos after the European Canadian featured me on his channel a few times. That was just really cool. The European Canadian, really cool guy. And now that I think about it, he's one of the few people whose real name I actually remember. I'm really bad with names, just so you guys know. My apologies ahead of time. But send me your epic replay video for a chance to be featured on the channel. And by chance, I mean I really make as many replay videos. I try to make it a priority. I'm not going to say I make as many as I can. I could do more. We find time for the things we really want to do. And that's sort of what I've experienced in life lately as Johnny Boy takes out the Sonderkraftfahrzeug 234/4. Yes, you're welcome. I've blessed you with my beautiful German pronunciation. And if if you are actually someone who speaks decent German, I apologize for nothing. Come at me. Anyway, what was I saying? I've completely lost my train of thought. But I love featuring replays, watching these videos, and sharing what's going on, having a multitude of different play styles to comment on. It's an absolute blast for me, and it is an absolute joy. And if you want me to actually remember your name, there's no better exercise to put me through than to have me constantly repeat it while commentating on a replay. Johnny, in the weeds, in the bushes, as it were, and I'm not quite sure if he's in the best spot. Yep, adjusting a little bit here as he hears, and soon to see the enemy tank. You can tell that he's listening, and that's good. I constantly tell my guys, you guys know what I'm about to say, right? Turn down your music or turn it off. Pause the YouTube video you were listening to. If you want to do well, if you want to get serious about improving your performance in War Thunder, there's so much you can get out of just turning off all the background sounds, cranking up the engine volume, and listening for enemy engines. There's all kinds of other audio cues as well. You've got, I'm getting an audio cue here. The baby's The baby's wiggling on me. Huge props to Tank Mommy for taking care of the girls so much, as I've just been completely wiped out over these past few days. I haven't been making YouTube videos. I haven't been playing War Thunder. I've been coming home and just like collapsing. Some of you guys have seen me engaging a little bit on the Discord. It's a lot less than normal, and I want you to know I'm not being distant. I'm just super tired. I pushed myself hard to do well, to be a good worker, and also to get some good exercise. And honestly, when I'm working manual labor like roofing, and this was tear off work, you tear off the old roofing, you clean up the stuff so that when the pros come in, they can lay down that new roofing as fast as possible, and that saves my friend from having to pay so much by wasting the time of skilled and professional people. By the way, the guy I was working for, I mean, he could have done the whole thing himself. He's the whole thing himself. He is a skilled, what's the word? Carpenter. That's the word. Yes. But one of the things that I've noticed is that when you get older and you have a family and you have things that you do in your life, you don't have time to do everything yourself anymore. Which, to bring it all the way around as we zoom out here on JohnGerman and see what is going on in Normandy. Beautiful map, by the way. This has always been one of the good ones. I really enjoy the Normandy map for the variety that it has to offer, and I've really learned a lot about how to play the map over the past few months. Even I have an old live stream where I was playing the XM1 and I had no idea how to act in Normandy. So even as recently as a few months ago, I've really picked up a lot better understanding of how to use this map. And why are we still in this video? I mean, there's not a ton happening. This match is winding down to a close. In fact, we might skip forward pretty soon here. But I just wanted to say that I appreciate what you guys do. I appreciate your comments on the videos, and especially when you guys hang out with each other and make Toshio Thunder YouTube and the Thunder Zone Discord server a real community. I love that. I really do. And those of you guys who have been active in the community and you've picked up a certain role, talking about people like Puma, people like AC and Butler, and all the people who send in replays. I mean, again, I'm terrible with names, but you guys know who you are. Visky and everybody else. And a lot of you guys know that I don't make a video out of every replay that gets sent to me, but God knows I would love to. I sometimes look at what I have here with this YouTube channel and I go, wow, you know, if I had the time that I had when I was a young man, before I had a life, I could do so much. But you know what? I'd like to think that having a dad, a youth pastor, a friend in War Thunder who's maybe a little bit more experienced in the things of life, maybe that's something I can offer if I can't offer so much of my time as I did when I was younger. Anyway, guys, with that, JohnGerman has, I think, picked up his last kill of the match, an impressive number. I think it was 14 ground kills, which in a realistic match is quite impressive. Here's a man who continued to press forward. He didn't make many mistakes that I could tell. And as far as improving, I can't offer a ton of advice. I may have encountered, I should say, someone who's better at War Thunder than me. But you know what? Sometimes that's what happens. You never know. When someone first sends in a replay, I was wrong. There he goes, getting his last kill. That was your last one, right, John? Anyway, it's another one of the neat ways that I get to meet people is when they send in replays to the channel. You guys have been absolute gems for sticking around this long as I ramble. The action wasn't always there in this match, but man, what a result. As, again, we go for the zoom out here. JohnGerman, mostly in the Jpz.38t, doing quite well. Catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.